This is the story of a man who falls into the void from an 8th floor. As he falls, he thinks, so far, so good. So far, so good. So far, so good. We will remember 2020 as the year that changed our lives. The year in which everything we trusted came crashing down. News that came from far away told us how hospitals were built in 10 days. Cities of millions of inhabitants were confined entirely. The streets were disinfected and borders were closed. Slowly, the danger was reaching the door of our homes. Soldiers, trucks with dead people, and mass graves appeared on television. The lockdowns had arrived. We had to flatten the curve and be responsible. The virus could resist on surfaces for days, weeks. Death was on our heels. It lurked around every corner and could be waiting for us at the supermarket, even in a tomato.
That is the way. You must stay at home.
There are those who trust politicians. Others trust the messages spread by the media. Some trust the advice of their favorite singer or actor.
No more restaurants, okay? No more restaurants. Forget all that. You stay home.
I don't trust anyone. What was already clear to me back then was that if I wanted to know the truth of what was happening in the world, I had to look for it on my own. I found doctors, lawyers, and Nobel laureates who were being censored. I immediately realized that many of them had the keys to everything that was happening. I tried to set up a crowdfunding to be able to make a documentary and reach all of them, which was also censored. Then the same happened. They alleged that you can't talk about this issue. Something weird was happening here. On the 3rd, I got it. A platform accepted it. I filled the whole of Spain with posters to support the campaign, and the rest is already history. This is the story of my search and my way of sharing it with you. But let's start at the beginning. We live in a society where it's not easy to discern truth from lies. However, today we have the instruments to dismantle the wall of the Platonic cavern stone by stone, behind which those who project the messages and images we receive are hidden. They are aimed at controlling our thinking and our actions. Just like in Plato's myth, whoever manages to free himself from the chains will be obliged to tell others the reality that he has seen outside. The first stop in this story begins on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea in Sitges. The World Freedom Forum, held in the last location where the Bilderberg Group met in Spain, brought together professionals from all disciplines with very different ideas from those that we are told every day on television. A golden opportunity to try to understand how a simple virus has been able to change the world we live in.
It's not about a disease. It's about the economy and the core. It's about a financial crisis by design.
In July 2020, the World Economic Forum released a promotional video called The Great Reset. The purpose of this film is to claim that everything, from the economy to our culture, needs a reset. The most disturbing thing about the video is that it shows the current pandemic as an accelerating agent of all these changes.
The time to act is now.
Oh, the Great Reset is a criminal project done by the World Economic Forum, and the head of the Economic Forum is a German. Sadly, again, his name is Klaus Schwab.
In July 2020, Klaus Schwab, director of the World Economic Forum, publishes the book The Great Reset. In it, we are presented with the current COVID-19 crisis as a great opportunity to reset all aspects of our society. Thus, we are presented with a new world, built, defined, and imposed by a very small elite.
And the trick is to do it openly, to do it publicly.
Los acontecimientos internacionales no suceden por casualidad. Están todos interconectados y planificados para que suceda. No aparecen pandemias que se predicen.
If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic.
Aparecen pandemias que se planifican para conseguir objetivos.
It's a very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
We remember the terrible damage of COVID as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Build back better.
Build it back better.
Build back better.
To build back better.
Build back better.
Build back better.
Build back better.
To build back.
All these personalities that you see there, saying the same thing, have a common denominator.
Rethink and reset.
Most belong to or have attended Bilderberg meetings.
It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate and rebalance our world.
But what is Bilderberg?
So the Bilderberg is like a casting event for people to get into public positions. So before you become the prime minister of a country or a chancellor of Germany or something like this, yeah, or getting into a high position, they want to know, will this person follow more or less their nicely presented orders or not?
Since 1954, the date of its foundation, Bilderberg meetings are conferences that bring together influential people from around the world. Country leaders, media owners, bankers, shareholders of big pharmaceuticals, owners of big tech, members of royalty, as well as representatives of supranational organizations, such as the World Health Organization or NATO. As you can see, many also belong to the new fashion club, the World Economic Forum, or the Davos Forum.
Our global shapers, where are you?
Led by the ideologue of the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab.
Strong component of the forum community.
That the non-reporting of these events is anything other than a conspiracy between the organizers and the media. It merely confirms the belief of many that the hidden agenda and purpose of the Bilderberg Group is to bring about undemocratic world government.
En el año 54 se celebra la primera reunión Bilderberg y en el acta se recoge que van a crear un nuevo orden mundial.
The existence of a plan to establish a new world order is undeniable.
A new world. About some of the wise men who helped shape the new world order.
There's a need for a new world order.
Because those who advocated have publicly stated their intentions on numerous occasions.
Piensen por un momento que un mundo multipolar, sin instrumentos de gobierno mundial, es algo muy arriesgado.
The premise is simple: creation of a world government to solve global problems.
Esto que ya se está dando a conocer y que ya está incluso en las escuelas es la Agenda 2030, pero esto se establece hace 70 años. A lo que estamos asistiendo ahora es a una campaña de prensa de este proyecto.
The current global crisis has disrupted every aspect of our lives, but it has also presented us with an extraordinary opportunity, a chance to reset and accelerate efforts to improve the state of our world.
Esa es la propaganda. La realidad es un ataque absoluto a las libertades, a todos esos grandes símbolos que han hecho grande a la civilización occidental. Democracia, libertad, familia, individuo. Un totalitarismo para garantizar la seguridad. Y eso es Bilderberg.
Cuando una enfermedad producida por un virus es tan letal como ellos están diciendo, y cuando una vacuna es tan efectiva, no debería hacer falta censurar en absoluto ni a la ciencia, ni a los medios de comunicación, ni a miles de científicos de todo el mundo muy valientes que están diciendo, cuidado, aquí hay dudas razonables.
Porque dime qué relación existe entre un supuesto virus y el ataque a tu libertad de pensamiento, a tu libertad de expresión, a un debate científico abierto.
The relationship between COVID-19 and the Great Reset is that they needed some type of method to control the public, to coerce them and manipulate them and get them to fall into line. And so they used a fear tactic, and that fear tactic was this illusion of the COVID-19. And so it's just a tool that they were using to try to create fear in people, and a lot of people bought into it.
Now, cases are on the rise again.
2 countries in the Northeast were kind of recovering.
El virus bate su propio récord de contagiados en un solo día.
Y hay preocupación en Europa.
Los medios de comunicación han creado un psicoescenario a través de imágenes que han sido sugestionadas, que han sido lanzadas como bombas.
And how do you create a psycho scenario? The first and most important tool are the PCR tests.
Las pruebas PCR son uno de los principales instrumentos que han hecho que toda esta gran mentira pueda avanzar. Y se trata simplemente de crear enfermos que no lo son.
The inventor of the PCR test got the Nobel Prize, and his name was Kelly Maras. And he said, this method is not to be used to detect a disease.
If they could find this virus in you at all, and with PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody.
I'm surprised that not everybody's showing up positive, so there's absolutely no grounds for it. All it's doing is picking up a signature. It doesn't say whether somebody's got an infection or not. It just says whether or not somebody has that particular sequence in their system, and that doesn't mean anything.
It allows you to take a very minuscule amount of anything and make it measurable and then talk about it in meetings and stuff like it is important.
Imagine a flea. Now imagine seeing it as billions of blue whales. That is the result of doing a PCR test at more than 35 cycles. Anything one could have had, like the remains of a virus, can be positive. With those numbers of cycles, we can say that more than 90% of the cases are false positives.
These days, the governments and the agencies use this PCR test to detect COVID-19 and the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And this method is not meant to be used to this. This is first to be said, and the inventor, Nobel Prize winner, Kelly Maras, said this.
tests which you see every day of the swab being pushed up somebody's nose, those tests have been distributed widely around the world and are probably the most accurate way to determine whether someone is currently infected.
Muchas personas creen que la Organización Mundial de la Salud es una institución pública y, sin embargo, es privada. Está financiada por las grandes farmacéuticas. Está financiada por el dinero de todas estas compañías que se han hecho muy populares durante la pandemia porque han presentado las vacunas como solución, ¿no?
Desgraciadamente, los médicos actuales tratan a los pacientes por las recomendaciones de la Organización Mundial de la Salud y que la Organización Mundial de la Salud tiene financiación privada y la principal financiación proviene de la Fundación Bill y Melinda Gates, que hace negocios multimillonarios con vacunas. Decimos en Argentina que cuando ladra, mueve la cola y tiene 4 patas es perro. Bueno, en este caso me parece que no hay mucho que pensar.
How can it be that the same people who finance the WHO are the same laboratories that make the vaccines? Is there not a conflict of interest there? I decide to fly to the Basque Country where someone is waiting for me, someone who knows very well how the PCR works, because he has been working with them for many years.
El binomio PCR positivo asintomático es la herramienta perversa que se ha utilizado en esta pandemia. Primero, porque la técnica de PCR no sirve para diagnosticar una enfermedad. Y segundo, porque en realidad el asintomático no es una persona enferma. La gente no ha caído que un asintomático no es un enfermo. Es decir, nadie que no tiene ningún síntoma va al médico. Entonces, que un asintomático, si no está enfermo, difícilmente puede contagiar.
And it's not just John Ander telling you. The WHO itself says it, and finally had to back down because of the impossibility of being able to put up with the dogma of the asymptomatic.
But from the data we have, it still seems to be rare that an asymptomatic person actually transmits onward to a secondary individual.
Solo pensar por un momento que no hubiese existido el test de PCR asintomáticos. ¿Realmente a vuestro entorno hubierais visto que hay pandemia?
El arma principal que se está utilizando son los medios de comunicación.
Un tercio de los casos de coronavirus son asintomáticos.
Aquellos que sin tener síntomas portan el virus, incluso pudiendo contagiar mucho más que quienes sí los padecen.
Se repite el mensaje. La estrategia es una mentira repetida 1000 veces se convierte en verdad.
Nos llegaron a decir hasta que los asintomáticos eran los potenciales más potentes contagiadores.
La carga viral en los niños es incluso más alta que la de los adultos que están graves ingresados en la UCI. Esto quiere decir que son súper contagiadores.
Este es el miedo que han metido a la población con este tema, con total falta de ciencia.
That man you see there is Christian Drosten, the creator of the PCR that will be used as a standard model to detect SARS-CoV-2 throughout the world.
The story of Christian Drosten is that he was before at the University of Bonn. And in these days, he dealt with the swine flu and with the avian flu.
Man könnte sagen, dieses Virus könnte sich bestimmte Gensegmente von sehr gefährlichen anderen Viren aneignen, zum Beispiel von Vogelgrippeviren, und dann zu einem sehr gefährlichen Virus werden.
And he was terribly wrong what he said. Yeah, the numbers.
The actual epidemic never occurred, despite Christian Drosten's alarmist recommendations.
So he was really on the bad side and made bad science. So normally, his next appointment should be in Siberia or in the desert of Gobi in China. But the power structures put him into the best place in Charité, Berlin, into this top position.
Herr Professor Dr. Drosten, das ist Ihr Preis und wir verleihen ihn von ganzem Herzen. Vielen Dank.
The University Hospital Berlin's Charité is one of the most prestigious hospitals in Europe. And it is also financed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
So I think he is a very tragic figure. And I think he's under a lot of pressure from behind. But he is a good actor.
Wanting to know more about the figure of Drosten, I take a flight to Germany to meet the German lawyer Rainer Fulmich firsthand. famous for the trials to Deutsche Bank and Volkswagen. He knows Christian Drosten well because he is working to prosecute him.